Hey everyone, it's Nelson and I'm here today with Paulette Trotter, who is the #1 mortgage advisor for Loan Market in New Zealand. And we've got some questions for Paulette today, just about how you can get finance and how you can buy your dream home. Paulette, can I ask, why should someone use like a mortgage broker over like the traditional bank?
Sure. Basically because somebody can go into their bank and get a no, yet I know exactly where to send their application and I'm going to get a yes. So I'll give you an example. Had really good clients with 15% deposit, one bank with Westpac, one bank with BNZ, great savings, easy deal. One of those banks said no, one said yes.
Okay.
And that was only a week ago. So
wow.
If they'd gone to the bank that said no, they could have thought no one else will do it.
That's
and
right, yeah.
It was done. And it was a little bit tricky, the actual application, but very good savers and well worth an approval. So
can be really disheartening to be told no, so
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Whereas we've now, I phoned them this morning actually, gave them the yes, equally gave them the no, but they're very happy with it, and now they can go house hunting. It's not only just about that, it's also about we're available in the weekends in terms of if they find the right property. So if they find one of your properties, they'll ring me and talk me through it. It's also about getting them the best deal as well, so it's getting them the best approval, being available when they find the right property, and also then getting them the right price.
Yeah. You probably sleep at the office sometimes.
Yes.
Always on the phone. Yeah, I know when I contact you after hours, you're easily
always
available.
Yeah,
just like a real estate agent. Fantastic. So next question would be, so what lenders do you work with?
So I'm fortunate that I can work with all the main banks in terms of ASB, BNZ, Westpac, Kiwi banks, all those main type of banks. Then you've got the second tier being Resimac and Bluestone, and then you've got all the other type of lenders. There's 20 plus lenders we deal with. So, but it's good to have the 5 main banks under your wing to be able to have options for your customers.
So if someone, say, couldn't get finance with one of the main lenders, then you've got an alternative for them.
100%.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So we'll start with where we think. And if it doesn't get approved there, then we'll go to Plan B and Plan C. So during COVID, in one particular case, it took to Plan C to get my approval.
Yeah.
But it's a process.
Can I ask, what's the best interest rate at the moment in the market?
At the moment, 2.65 for 12 months.
Whew.
Yep, very good.
Yeah.
Yep. And Kiwi Bank have just dropped their floating rate with no discount to 3.4, which is amazing.
Okay. So
the floating rate for that bank is very close to some of their low fixed rates, so it's pretty exciting.
That is really exciting. It's awesome. On to the next question. So people, I think, have the perception sort of out there sometimes that there's like a fee involved with using a mortgage broker.
Yes.
Is there a fee at all?
So when we're dealing with the main banks, they pay us, so there is no fee.
Yeah.
We already get paid from them. The only time I ever charge a fee is if it's bridging finance.
Okay.
The banks won't pay us, so it's a fee to cover my team's costs or my costs to get that deal across the line.
Gotcha.
Because bridging finance is really hard, or the second tier lenders, i.e. the First Mortgage Trust or Avanti, all those type of lenders, if they don't pay us, then we've got to charge the customer.
Yeah.
As long as they're with a main bank and it's not bridging finance, we don't charge a fee.
Okay. What sort of advice would you give someone who's like looking at putting their property on the market, but they want to buy elsewhere first?
Yes.
That's obviously when you'd use bridging finance, but like you're saying, it's difficult to get bridging finance. So is it best to look for a property first or to put your house on the market first?
My advice would be put your house on the market first. Talk to the agent, do a long settlement. Because it's in this market, it's too risky not having an agreement on your property, because what if you can't sell?
Yes.
It puts too much pressure on you.
Yeah.
So my advice is definitely get your pre-approval of the next step. So where do you want to go? What does that look like?
Yes.
However, then list with the agent, have a long settlement, start looking, but don't negotiate until you've got an agreement on your property.
Okay.
or negotiate subject to selling your property.
Will the banks, if the banks see that your property is on the market, will they give you a pre-approval sometimes so you can still bid at an auction, and then you just sort of tee up the settlement date so they sort of coincide?
So that would be a bridging finance, because if your house is on the market and you haven't sold and you want to bid at auction, you need to have a backup plan. Because what if your house doesn't sell by the time you're ready to settle? So you either need to have bridging finance, or you don't bid at auction until you've got an unconditional agreement.
Until you've got an unconditional on your property. Yep. Okay, no, that's good to know. Generally speaking, should a person fix their sort of mortgage rate, or should they go variable?
So, because the variable rates are quite considerably higher with the bank, so you've got, apart from Kiwibank at 3.4, all the other banks are around the 4.4 mark. Yes, you get a discount off that, but it's nowhere near a 265 or a 269 for 2 years. So when I'm talking structure with a customer, I look at how much certainty do they want around their repayments. So is it 12 months or is it 3 years? Do they have commission? Do they have bonuses? So you could do a little bit on variable if you've got some money due or some inheritance due or something like that. But generally in New Zealand, the majority of lending is fixed unless you've got a type of income that you can make lump sum payments. The type of information that you're going to need to provide us at the moment with COVID is not only 3 pay slips, but also how safe was your job?
Yes.
What happened at level 4? What happened at level 3? How safe does your job look going forward? So something quite important at the moment, if you're wanting to buy a house, it's quite important that your job's quite safe and secure. It's okay if you only paid the government allowance during level 4, as long as you're back to 100% now and things are safe. So it is quite a different world. Approvals that we were getting pre-COVID, we may not necessarily get now from every bank, and that's why it's really important, I believe, to engage a mortgage advisor, because if your bank won't do it, the likelihood is we'll get it somewhere else, or we'll ask a lot more questions to make that bank feel comfortable. Or it could be getting parents' help or whatever it might be. So a lot more information is needed now since COVID.
Yes.
But banks are still lending. We're still getting some great approvals. We just need a bit more information.
They still have money to lend, which is great.
Yeah.
How long does it generally take a person to sort of like get a conditional approval?
Yep. So a customer will see me today. I've got 5 appointments this afternoon. My team will have the applications at the bank. Probably a couple today, the rest tomorrow morning. The banks are at least 5 days behind. So for a pre-approval, you're looking at least 5 to 7 days. If, for example, in the meantime they sign up on a property, the banks are great. They will look at it quicker. But if it's just a pre-approval with no property in mind, it needs to go through that process, and we just need to give the banks a bit of time, which is 5 to 7 days.
So to speed up the process, get all your paperwork in order, and so it was 3 months of bank statements. If you're self-employed, you'd need your end-of-year financials. So now with COVID, we need 2020 financials, whereas ordinarily we'd only need 2019. So 2020, 2019. In some cases, one of the banks wants projections for 2021. Wow.
In other cases, I'll get a P&L off zero for 2021 and explain how that business was affected during COVID, i.e. they were essential, business as usual, or level 4 lockdown but back level 3 or whatever it might be. So self-employed is a little bit more complicated, not impossible, we're still getting them across the line. Just once again, more information.
Fantastic. Where do you see sort of like the lending market sort of like going this year? Any predictions that we could get from you?
Look, it's hard to know. Rates are great. However, the banks are very cautious, and they're cautious around employment or the market. So they're a little bit cautious. So there was 2 banks that did 5% deposit lending pre-COVID. Now you've got to have 10%. And I believe that's based on, well, what if property prices do drop? Haven't seen it, but what if they do? And they're also very cautious around people's job roles. So I think once the banks feel a bit more comfortable about how the economy is going, I see it improving again, but it's a little bit tighter at the moment, and understandably so, given what we've been through, which is just unprecedented. So.
Has been, certainly. Do self-employed people still need to have like a chartered accountant, or can they just...
So they can have a bookkeeper type scenario,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got several customers like that. We just get the IR3 from the Inland Revenue to confirm that they've actually accepted what the bookkeeper has presented to them. So definitely, if it's not a chartered accountant, we need backup from the IRD that they've accepted what's been presented.
Right. Okay.
Which is understandable once again.
Yep. No, that's good to know if you're self-employed out there.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. What's another great question? What's something you frequently get asked all the time?
So the Reserve Bank restrictions. So after, I think it was around level 3, the Reserve Bank announced that they've removed the restrictions, the loan to value ratio restrictions. So a lot of my customers have gone, that is amazing. You know, do I need a deposit now? How much do I need to put towards an investment property? That type of stuff. So yes, the Reserve Bank's removed the restrictions. The banks have changed very little of their policy. So for example, previous to the Reserve Bank removing the restrictions, as I said, 2 banks, you only needed 5% deposit. Both of them, you now need 10% deposit. So they've actually tightened up. 2 banks, since the Reserve Bank removed the restrictions, will now do 20% equity on investment property, whereas before you needed 30.
Yes.
1 bank will do it for the right customer, the other banks still haven't changed. So, and a lot of customers think that because the Reserve Bank has removed the restrictions, that means they get the interest rates as if you had 20% equity. Pricing hasn't changed. So whilst the Reserve Bank's removed the restrictions, the banks have made very little change to their policies, and it's not any cheaper for the customers. Okay. So that's probably a big question I get asked at the moment. Interest rates are still, or the margins for less than 20% deposit haven't changed. We've got a little bit more help in terms of investors though.
It's super informative. Thank you for that. I hope everyone there got the inside scoop on what's going on in the lending world. Have you got any advice for people who are looking to maybe buy an additional investment property at the moment? You know, how they could go about?
So the first advice would be to engage a mortgage advisor.
Yes.
In terms of to get a pre-approval so they know what they can do. The second advice I would, and I always suggest, is engage an accountant to make sure it's structured correctly.
Yes.
So because with an investment property we want 100% lent to get that property, we want it interest only, we want your own home debt paid off first. So the 2 pieces of advice would be engage a good mortgage advisor, get your pre-approval, engage an accountant so we structure it correctly, and then work alongside a real estate agent to find the right property for you. So
Perfect.
3 bits of advice.
Thank you. And what sort of advice would you have for a first-time home buyer in terms of, you know, purchasing their first property? Obviously, come and see a mortgage advisor, but a lot of them have questions about home grants and Kiwisaver.
Yep.
Where does the person start? They've got some money in Kiwisaver. They want to buy like their first home. Do they call you first, or do they have to do something else first?
My advice would be come and see me first. I cover all of that off. I give them
Wow.
a brochure about first home buyer's grant.
Yeah.
A lot of them they don't meet that criteria. So there's income criteria, there's a maximum purchase price. However, I have had a number of customers get the first home buyer's grant, and it's helped them get into their first home. So all of that is covered in a meeting with us. We talk about how do you access your Kiwisaver, how do you get approval for the first home buyer's grant. If you owned a property in New Zealand 10 years ago and you don't now, can you get access to your Kiwisaver?
Yeah.
How do you do that? All of that we cover off. Then we go and get the approval for them. We talk through that approval, and it's happy house hunting.
Yeah.
Find the house, give us a call. We'll talk through the next steps in terms of negotiating what they should have on a sale and purchase agreement to protect them in terms of finance, building limb, all that type of stuff. So we cover it all off every step of the way.
It must be like incredibly rewarding seeing a person get into their first home, you know,
absolutely.
and to come back. Yeah, I saw on Google you've got 221 5-star Google reviews, which is incredible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very lucky that my customers.
A lot of happy clients.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. I think we've covered everything today. If you want to get hold of Paulette to get some advice or to get a loan, how do they get in touch with you?
So email or my cell phone number. So if you just Google me, you can actually go through the Loan Market website and send me a message, or my email address is on there, or my cell phone number's on there. So
awesome.
Just Google Paulette Trotter, you'll find me.
Cool. And to make it super easy, we'll also put everything in the comments below, or Paulette's details. And whereabouts are you based?
Highland Park.
Highland Park.
East Auckland.
Yeah. Fantastic. Oh, we thank you everyone for watching. This is Nelsontakle and Paulette Trotter. Enjoy.
Thank you.